Second-hand car prices are rocketing these days. But even so, £100,000 is still a lot of money to drop on a car of any type. If you were to, say, blow all that money on a brand new car, even today you'd struggle to get anything like all of it back when you want to pass it on. So why not have a little bit more fun with it? Buy something second-hand that has just a little bit more interest. There's no guarantees, of course. The market is always volatile, but if you buy carefully, who knows where you could end up. You might even have some fun along the way. If you're watching this video and at any point you think to yourself, I quite like that, they've done okay, then do remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to make sure you see everything from Goodwood Road and Racing. A decade on from its rather stuffy launch, McLaren's focus is on an electric future in a post-internal combustion age. In fact, the first time it ever broke from its concept of mounting a V8 inside a carbon monocell throughout its entire modern history is the V6 Artura hybrid that only launched in 2021. Even so, the influence of the very first modern McLaren, the MP412C, looms large. In fact, in some ways, it remains the purest expression of McLaren's ideals and its sky-high ambitions. There were, admittedly, some glitches in the early cars, but a series of fixes and upgrades should have sorted those, so for the price of what Porsche is now calling the fully digital 911, you could have some British-built, carbon-tubbed supercar exotica on your drive. While some were unimpressed with its design at first, it definitely turns heads today, probably more so than yet another 911 ever will. There are probably too many around for it to count as a true investment, but in a suitably desirable spec with low miles and looked after properly, there will always be takers. Porsche's special editions are normally, quite rightly, universally beloved. So it's hard to find one that's underappreciated. The 987 generation Boxster Spyder is exactly that. True, there is enough appreciation that prices are significantly above the regular 987, but not in a stratospheric way. While pretty much anything 911 shaped with a GT3 badge affixed has gone mental, the Spyder trundles along in the mid-50s. But in driving terms, the Spyder is not far off being as enjoyable. Both are very much cut from the same cloth. Whereas the GT3 is all around numbers, the Boxster Spyder is about quality of performance, not sheer quantity. A svelte curb weight, precision, stunning feedback through steering and pedals, and a free-revving flat six couple with some pretty special looks to make it a seriously desirable package. A manual is the best choice, and while the shower cap of a roof has a legendary reputation for being utterly useless, you'll keep it for sunny days anyway. There's a few around. For now. Yes, a diesel Volkswagen. A combination of words that has aged like the finest of milk. But this is definitely the exception to that rule. If you're looking for a very 2022 expression of your love for cars, one with more woke than poke, this is the one. What the XL1 utterly lacks in power and any kind of performance, it more than makes up for in obsessional attention to engineering detail and a single-minded focus on getting down the road using the minimum of effort. Sure, plug-in hybrids are all over the place these days, but the XL1 showcased how old-school tech could be used for more than just a benefit-in-kind dodge. Only 200 were ever actually released for the public to buy, so finding one will be tricky. And will likely involve travelling to the continent at least, but your £100,000 may buy you something truly collectible. Prices for the Vanquish, and Aston Martins in general, vary pretty wildly at the moment. You can find some for some very, very temptingly affordable prices, well within today's hypothetical budget, but some have skyrocketingly high numbers that will make your accountant weep. Whether that variety will eventually drag the value of the cheaper ones out of our grasp is yet to be seen, but it shows that there is a lot of passion for the Vanquish. It's perhaps helped, or not, depending on your outlook, by the Vanquish's rarity and more exotic reputation than the DB9 and Vantage, which can both be picked up for significantly less. The Vanquish is something of an old-school beast. It gives up a lot to modern supercars in terms of ease of use, but that appeals to us because you have to work for your returns. It's also a refined looker and features a V12 in these downsized times. As the performance car world watches the shark drift below it with mind-boggling horsepower numbers and drift modes galore, the much maligned i8 begins to look like it was on the right side of history. This is the forward-thinking alternative to that 911 you've always promised yourself. Alright, so it's not quite as sharp to drive or as fast, but in pure engineering terms, this carbon-bodied hybrid supercar is just as relevant as it was when it was launched way back in 2014. And we think it still looks like nothing else on the road today. The fact that it was axed prematurely just adds more to its desirability. The i8 is currently stuck in a bit of a no man's land. It's not a new car, but it's also not quite old enough to be seen as desirable exotica. But we're all enthusiasts, and in a world where enthusiasts need to find more responsible ways to express our love for cars, the i8 is surely a winner. If you've been looking at prices for the Quattro, you're probably under the impression that you've missed the Quattro boat completely, and with some good reason. A properly good Quattro will now cost you well over today's sub-six-figure budget. The foundations were always there, of course, given the iconic motorsport connection, indelible whiff of 80s chic, and, of course, that charismatic warble of a turbocharged 5-cylinder engine. The Quattro is a bona fide classic car now, which, of course, has good and bad connotations. On the one hand, they can be cherished. On the other, over-optimistic pricing and bodge restorations lurk, ready to attack the unwary. Like most classics, there are known issues, and getting hold of parts can be difficult at best, but that just means you need to actively own the car, not just hope it'll be alright in the end. But do your homework, take your time to find a good one, and the direction of travel for value suggests that you could be onto a good thing. And way more importantly, you will own one of the true great cars. There are so many reasons to want a Ferrari 355, and a whole bunch of extremely well-documented reasons to run for their hills. Either way, it's perhaps quite surprising just how gently prices have risen, rather than following that well-trodden trajectory that's been paved by Porsches. So, buy a 355 and you can have yourself some Ferrari legend and still have some change left over from $100,000. Downside? You'll likely need to keep that change aside as servicing budget and general upkeep long before you ever have any budget for restoration or repairs. But if you are prepared to look after a 355 properly, it'll reward you with a driving experience that delivers on those timeless looks. Sure, most modern hot hatches will leave it for dead these days, but the experience of driving it is about way more than numbers. And there's more bright side to the idea as well. Maintenance schedules are dictated by time rather than miles, so you might as well get your money's worth between those sky-high bills. Still hoping for that TVR Griffith to arrive? We love your optimism, but nearly 5 years after it arrived to much fanfare, we're probably ready to move our deposit away from a potential TVR and into one that definitely exists. One that you could have on your driveway this very month. As one of the most modern TVRs you can actually go out and buy, the Cigaris makes a compelling case. Not to mention being the perfect antidote to all those sanitized modern supercars you might also be considering. In truth, despite its axe-murdering looks and TVR badge, the Cigaris is surprisingly accommodating to drive, while still managing to bring thrills that match the aggressive exterior. Inherently simple by virtue of the brand's back-to-basics approach, any issues with the snarling 4-litre Speed 6 engine are known quantities and can be dealt with, so you can enjoy with a degree of confidence. This is probably the best chance you have of owning a 21st century TVR, which must only make it even more desirable. Those are some of the cars available for less than £100,000 right now that we think you should go and buy. But what would you choose? Which one is going to be on your driveway? Let us know in the comments below.